Welcome to the Humanity Leadership Podcast, where we tackle your toughest leadership challenges and share practical tools to help you lead with impact. Welcome to this episode. I'm your host, David Wheatley, and actually I'm going to be speaking quite a bit today because this is from our First Friday session. If you've not come across the First Friday sessions yet, first Friday of every month, apart from July and August, we do a 1 hour Zoom session at noon Eastern. You can go to humanity.com and sign up and come and join us. And usually that's a combination of a breakout room chat with a bunch of other leaders that have some connection to Humanity, and a presentation by one of the Humanity team, about 10, 15 minutes of information on a relevant leadership topic. For the spring, we've been tackling our backpack, and with the metaphor that we all carry around this backpack of things we have to do and that we're responsible for. And this episode is on how to tap into your network to help you use your to manage your backpack. Welcome to everybody, and welcome to the First Friday. And our spring series has been focused on what we do when we feel overwhelmed or we're overly busy. We all carry this imaginary backpack around filled with things that we have to take care of, or that we might need, or projects that we're responsible for. And we've looked at how to manage that backpack since January, and how to be careful when we're changing roles, not to add more than we should, and how AI may support us. In fact, if I go through that, the problem we've seen is that people have been constantly challenged to do more with less. Quite often I call these people GSDs, depending on what company I'm in. The version today is the get stuff done folks, because they get stuff done. They're asked to do more, they get stuff done. Then they're asked to do even more because they get stuff done. Then they get promoted, and each time they're asked to get more stuff done. And rarely, if ever, are we asked to take some things off our plate. Back in January's session, Jim Marshall helped us see the value of letting go of the last role as we take on the new role. And in February, Lance Satterthwaite shared some tips for managing our busyness. In March, Jeanette Storsky helped us understand how we can better prioritize our efforts. And then last month, John Barrett gave us some tips on how to use AI to do more, to be more, and to grow wiser. This month, I want you to think about who else might be able to help you. Because asking for help is often seen as a weakness. It must mean that I can't do it on my own. And I'd like to reframe this. If you're familiar with our first book, The 50 Do's for Everyday Leadership, asking for help has been one of our do's for 25 years. Its corresponding don't is to try and do it all by myself. Why? Because you can't do it all by yourself. You may be very talented, but you don't know and you can't do everything. Some people have different experiences and skills. Others have made mistakes and learned valuable lessons. Ask for their help. The reward is that you get the help you need. The people around you will appreciate your willingness to admit you don't know everything. And when things continue to pile on, it becomes both impossible and irrational to try and do it all by myself. The power of teams and networks is that we can do more when we're working with others. So today, I want to look at 4 different groups of people that might help the way you think, the way you see things, and how you're seen as a leader, and how all 4 can help you carry the things in your backpack. Call this your personal board of directors. And like a good company, directors are there to provide oversight, insight, accountability, and support. They're drawn from different areas or fields and bring different values to the organization. Some are valued for their expertise, some for their connections, and others for their questions. So let's take a look at how we think about our personal board of directors. The first group are coaches. This isn't just to sell more Humanity coaching business, but these people are hired for the developmental support. Their focus is growth and development in a particular area, often through guided self-discovery, using questions and observations to unlock thinking and potential, and then hold you accountable to the defined change. If you worked with Humanity for a while, you may have had a leadership coach or know people who tap into them. There are also coaches to help with sales, marketing, growth, tennis, and other key knowledge and skill areas. The coaching relationship is usually private between you and the coach, even though it might be initiated and or paid for by the company. The coach doesn't have to have done your job, but should be good at understanding the mechanisms of their focus and helping you unlock the potential. The next group are mentors. These are wise sages and advisors. They're experts who can share their experience and learning with you so that you don't have to go through everything they might have done. They can offer advice and feedback. Their role is that of an expert who's been there, and the structure is one of experienced sharing. Usually this is done in an altruistic way. I'm yet to meet somebody who turned down a reasonable request to be a mentor. They're driven by their ability to offer value to the mentee. And like the coach, this is usually a private or one-on-one relationship. Our third group I call sponsors. And sponsors are internal career development guides. They're the champions for us, the door openers and power brokers, people who can talk you up in rooms that you're not in. Sponsors tend to be senior leaders who might be organizationally supported as part of a structured mentoring or sponsorship program. It's more likely the sponsor selects you than you selecting the sponsor. And getting in front of key people will open this door to them wanting to sponsor you. It is possible that one person might be a sponsor and a mentor. They may provide sage advice and at the same time raise your name in succession meetings at a higher level. Sponsors and coaches tend to have clearer boundaries than mentors. The relationship is strategic, and although it's about behind the scenes influence, the relationship is not necessarily as private as that of a coach or a mentor. And the last group are friends. This is fired by mutual affection, and they are there to provide the emotional support and look out for your well-being. We all know those friends that we can lean on when we need a little help, from the ones who will watch the dog when you work late to the one who will suggest ideal legal or HR resources. Unlike the other three, this group is more mutually beneficial and open-ended. Their roles to listen, empathize, encourage, they're really the cheerleaders on your personal board of directors. So what am I expecting you to do? And I want you to think about who's on your board. They don't have to know it. The only person who has the full board picture is you. But having people in each of these four groups is helpful to you, your current role, and your future. One way to look at this is this group is like a seating chart for a wedding. There's 4 tables with 1 to 6 chairs at each table. This is all in your head, unless, like some of my clients, you want to create a spreadsheet version. The wedding seat chart has family tables, kids tables, singles tables, and takes thought and care to structure well. The personal board of directors seating chart is the same. Think about your seating chart now. Who do you have at the coaches table? What do you look to them for coaching on? Who's at your mentor table? If no one, who should be it, and what's stopping you from asking? Who's talking you up in meetings at work, providing corporate or organizational sponsorship? Most importantly, where are the gaps at your tables? Where are you being underhelped? Who might be an ideal candidate to fill these gaps? Now, this seating chart should be a living document. People will transition in and out of your board, and important roles to keep evolving your board as your career evolves. So should the people you tap into to guide and support you. One example I see when people get to a mid-level in their organization, they look to broaden, and some of the smart ones, there's some in this group, sign up for a Michigan State's executive MBA program, Go Green. And there are other programs, but we've supported this one for over 25 years, so I'll stick with this as an example. They do this for 2 reasons. One is to broaden their knowledge so they're able to ask good questions outside their specialist field. And the other is to broaden their network. Often students in the program find board members in the class who they will tap into for the rest of their lives. You probably have people like that, and you might be lucky enough to sit on somebody else's personal board of directors. As I say, you won't necessarily know it. They might not say that formally, but think about who you coach. Think about who you mentor and provide sponsorship for, or just friendship for. This network allows us all to do more and be the best versions of ourselves if we use it. Often by this point, people understand what I'm saying, but are too shy to ask people to be mentors or sponsors, but would be over the moon to be asked by somebody else to be on their personal board of directors. And just think about that. People are more than happy to help, and at the same time struggle to ask for help. So if you are on somebody else's board, there's a couple of things worth getting clear. First one is to be clear on their needs. What does success look like for them? Be clear about why they're seeking this help to provide you with a context for what support you can offer. Are you a coach, a mentor, or a sponsor? Set ground rules for expectations for what this relationship's going to look like. Where will you go and where won't you go? Be honest and realistic about your time. Don't say yes in the moment and then no by your inability to schedule time. And always come back to their needs and be willing to step away if it's not to their benefit. Now, coming back to your backpack, being able to lean on others to help lighten or share the load is what we're talking about. Sometimes in my coaching, it's about asking a question that the coachee hadn't thought of. It isn't unusual for them to kind of kick themselves for not thinking of that question. But they're in the middle of things. They're bogged down. I get to see it with clarity when they explain it to me and then help them see it with some clarity by asking a question. It isn't of the role of the board to do it for you, but to provide different ways of looking at things, mind-opening questions, insights, and experiences that could make it easier for your travel, for you to travel the next section of your life. That was the Humanity Leadership Podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe and visit humanity.com for many more resources.